News 3 is following through on National Suicide Prevention Month. I'm Jessica Larche, and increases in suicide have disproportionately affected Black women. That's according to a study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry. So I have gathered a group of Black women from our Hampton Roads community.
Mothers, we're wives, we are bosses, and then we cry in the shower.
Two survived several suicide attempts.
God allowed me to live when I should have been dead.
My God.
Another seriously considered ending her life.
I had surrendered to the idea that this is my path out of here.
They've come together to share how they found light in the darkness. I do have to warn you, they're about to share troubling details of their suicide attempts and considerations. It may be difficult for some to hear, but their stories all have a silver lining.
Because it's hope. And I believe in spreading hope.
Deb Harris was only 17 when trauma from abuse, drug use to ease that pain, and undiagnosed mental illness made suicide seem like a relief.
An 18-wheeler happened to be passing by, and I just jumped in front of it.
And not a scratch on you.
Not a scratch on me. God stopped it.
The mother and former school teacher tried again years later.
And that time was to set myself on fire. It's all over, like 75% of my body. It wasn't until I was introduced to the specialists, the therapists, the counselors, the psychiatrists, and all of those who helped me to heal from within.
Yeah.
I'm so touched and moved by your story.
Myra Smith is a celebrated singer in our community. But success didn't stop depression triggered by sexual abuse, grief, and then rejection after coming out. She survived 3 suicide attempts.
Clearly, God does not want me to go. And He is the author and the finisher of my faith. I got not today. We're not going to kill ourselves today. Tattooed on my wrist so I can remember every day, no matter how bad it is. Not today. Make it one day at a time.
One moment in time could have been the beginning of the end for April Jett. A lifetime of taunting over her weight came to a head. She was 18.
I just remember going through all the different ways. So I want to slice myself, take a pill. What are the different ways for me to get out of here? And I woke up.
Woke up and decided to love herself no matter what.
I could relate to so much of what they both were saying.
These 3 women are survivors of a disturbing trend. While suicide is a leading cause of death across the United States, increased rates have disproportionately affected Black young women.
One is there's health disparities, right? So we know that stigma still exists related to mental health care.
Dr. Christy Norwood is a licensed psychologist based in Hampton.
The research supports this idea of superwoman syndrome that exists for many Black women, not being able to appear weak by seeking help.
Us as Black women are groomed to lie. We're told, don't tell nobody you're depressed. Don't you give any weight to it. So we definitely not going to get no help. We're going to pray about it. But we're not going to speak it out of our mouth because we're going to believe that it doesn't exist, but that doesn't mean that it's gone. I have seen God deliver. That's somebody's story. It ain't my story.
Right.
But that don't make me any better or worse than you.
Right.
This means I need something else.
There's an intersection of faith and therapy and medication when needed, that all of those things can work together.
God created it all.
That's right.
He created it all. That's why it's here.
Look like we're going to church on Channel 3.
I know.
It is the birthright of Black women to experience joy and love. Medication is an option, and when coupled with therapy, it can often be, we see tremendous benefits, which could look like decreasing thoughts of self-harm, which could look like feeling more joy.
What is something beautiful that has happened that would not have happened if you weren't alive to see it?
I wouldn't have the beautiful family that I have. I have 2 children and a husband who love me unconditionally.
I was the first African-American woman to have an album release concert at the Addicts Theater. And
I was there.
You were there. And I looked up and I saw the top was filled too. And I heard God, you would have missed this moment. You would have never known how much you were loved if I'd have let you die.
What would you say to someone who's watching this and feels hopeless, each of you?
It won't last.
Your life is meaningful and purposeful.
Literally, one day at a time.
Sometimes some minute at a time.
Minute at a time. Minute at a time.
A breath at a time. Just breathe.
Yeah.
If you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, please dial or text 988. It's 24/7, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. I'm also sharing more ways to get connected to local resources inside this story at WTKR.com. Reporting in Norfolk, Jessica Larche, News 3.